on this Sunday night.
So if you want more caravans and you want more crime, vote Democrat. It's very simple.
The Republicans don't care about your booze, but they care about your vote.
They're not up for election, but they're fighting for every vote, even in Republican strongholds.
So what is it about Tennessee that you think makes it still Trump country?
Because we love America and we want to make America great again.
Will it make the difference in the tightest races?
It might have made a difference for the 16 young men and women in the Humboldt crash.
Transport Canada has known for years coach buses without seatbelts could be deadly. So why didn't they act? A Fifth Estate investigation.
I was devastated, to tell you the truth.
Her husband had a stroke and she was left with his credit card bill. Now she's going public. Is credit card insurance worth it? This is The National. Well, the U.S. midterms are now just a day away. For Democrats, a chance to reclaim some power. And for Republicans, it's all about holding off that so-called blue wave. All 435 seats in the House of Representatives are up for grabs, along with some 35 Senate seats. And while it's impossible to say what will happen, we do know voters, they're engaged. Some 30 million Americans have already cast early ballots. So tonight, we'll look at the last-ditch effort on both sides to get the message out and the political star power they're using to do it. Paul Hunter has that angle from Washington.
His name isn't on any ballot this Tuesday, but Donald Trump himself acknowledged today he accepts that these midterms are indeed a referendum on him.
I see headlines in the New York Times that it's really about me, and it's not really, but I'll accept that.
With control of Capitol Hill at stake, the midterm elections are the first chance for Americans to weigh in on the Trump presidency at the ballot box. Trump was campaigning hard again today. This rally was in Georgia, trying to energize Republican voters. He again said he'd block that caravan of migrants heading toward the U.S. through Mexico, migrants Trump regularly denounces as a threat to American security.
Democrats want to invite caravan after caravan of illegal aliens to pour into our country. These are the same caravans that have violently overrun Mexican soldiers and police. You saw this. We're not dealing with babies here, folks.
Counter-punching today at a Democratic rally in Indiana, the man Trump replaced in the White House, Barack Obama.
When you hear these Republicans bragging about, look how good the economy is, where do you think that started?
Like Trump, Obama's been campaigning a lot lately. His message, Republicans will threaten U.S. health care.
God bless the United States of America.
Today, slamming that party for divisive politics and spreading lies.
Unlike some people, I don't just make stuff up when I'm talking. I've got facts to back me up.
So go vote, he urged. Bring change. Echoing his own campaign slogan from a decade ago, said Obama, it's time to choose hope over fear.
Okay, so what is the latest thinking? And I know things can change, but what's the latest thinking on how the vote will actually go on Tuesday, Paul?
Well, the latest polls suggest, and even Trump seemed to agree today, that while Republicans may hang on to the Senate, Democrats are poised to take control of the House of Representatives. If so, it'll be a whole new world in Washington Wednesday morning, with emboldened and empowered Democrats suddenly able to take on Trump. Then again, polls have been wrong before. Who can forget 48 hours before Trump was named president-elect in 2016, Hillary Clinton would have been polishing her acceptance speech. And so in the battle of the presidents today, both Trump and Obama reminded Americans, no matter the polls, it's up to voters to now get out and do it. Cast those ballots for the kind of America they want.
All right. Thanks, Paul. The CBC's Paul Hunter in Washington tonight. Obama wasn't the only president offering familiar messages tonight. A moment ago, you heard Donald Trump at his rally in Georgia, once again drumming up fears about border security. He struck that note again, this time in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
They want to take away your health care. They want to impose socialism on our country. And they want to erase America's borders. Democrats want to invite caravan after caravan of illegal aliens to pour into our country. I don't think so. And that's an invasion. I don't care what they say. I don't care what the fake media says. That's an invasion of our country.
Our Adrienne Arsenault is in Tennessee right now as part of our in-depth midterms coverage. And tomorrow she'll give us a closer look at this surprisingly tough Senate race and what it means, especially for Democrats. But earlier today, she spoke to people ahead of that Trump rally. Here's what she found.
Tennessee just isn't one of those places where you would imagine there would be a need for a rally from President Trump. Yet this is his second one here. This is a state he won handily in 2016. 61% of the electorate voted for him. This is a state that's doing well. It is growing. It is growing economically. It's growing in conservative white voters. And in the conservative South, Tennessee is really conservative. And that seems to be the key to how the president is choosing the locations for his rallies. 11 stops in 8 states, all places that he won firmly. And the point of that seems to be so that he can soak in their enthusiasm and they can soak in his. All right, so have I got that right?
Yes, correct.
So what is it about Tennessee that you think makes it still Trump country?
Because we love America and we want to make America great again.
Is your life better?
Yes, my husband just got a raise. And of course we're bringing home more money on our paycheck. So yes, it is better.
And I love this country.
But the thing is, a Trump bump the size of that might actually be needed here in Tennessee because the race for Senate in this state has become one of the tightest, one of the nastiest, one of the costliest races in this entire country. And on one level, it makes no sense because the Republican candidate, this woman named Marsha Blackburn, should be able to practically phone it in. And yet, she's not able to do that. The Democratic candidate is a former governor. He's trying to keep it local. And so far, the polls, for whatever they're worth, are suggesting this state is an actual toss-up, making Tennessee one you have to watch.
Awesome to see Adrienne out there. We'll hear more from her tomorrow. And the president is zeroing in on a few more of those tight races, particularly, though, in the Midwest. Just one day to go, and it's going to be a busy one. Trump visits 3 states, trying to tip the scales against 3 Democratic incumbent senators. Trump's first stop is Cleveland, Ohio, tomorrow afternoon. Then it's off to Fort Wayne, Indiana, for another rally. And Trump's last stop of the day, Cape Girardeau, Missouri, where he'll be joined by conservative broadcasters Sean Hannity and Rush Limbaugh. We also went to Ohio recently. With a race so close, we thought it would be the perfect place to bring together just 6 ordinary Americans for a candid conversation about the election, their president, and the great political divide. We'll have that conversation tomorrow night, and here's a preview. So Mary, you're over here, and Carol, you're here. David, you're beside me over here. Steve, you're on the end. Roland, you're here in the middle. Tom is here. We did divide you along your thoughts because it'll just be easier for me to follow along.
All right, scene 1, take 4.
Thanks for coming. So obviously we've split you up sort of into not such a big fan of the president, fan of the president. So Tom, I'm going to start with you. How do you think he's been doing in this first couple of years?
I think he's doing a very good job. One, he's doing what he said he was going to do. He said he was going to reform taxes. He reformed taxes. He said he was going to deregulate. He deregulated. And our economy is thriving because of that.
David, you're not a big fan.
Not at all a fan.
No. So how do you think he's doing in the job?
My greater concern is what I think is happening for the people in this country. And He is incredibly polarizing.
Watch for that conversation tomorrow night as we count down to the U.S. midterms. Our coverage on Tuesday starts at 8 p.m. Eastern on CBC News Network. And of course, we will be live on CBC Television throughout the evening at 10 p.m. and of course, 10:30 in Newfoundland and Labrador. We have a lot more ahead tonight on The National. Her husband paid for credit card insurance for years. So why wasn't she able to get the help she needed when he had a stroke? A Go Public investigation. And Drake claims a case of racism when he was turned away at a BC casino. We look at the new rules for high rollers. But first, the warning was there nearly 2 decades ago. Why has it taken so long to make seatbelts mandatory on coach buses? The Fifth Estate has uncovered Transport Canada documents showing bureaucrats were well aware that lives could be lost if seatbelts weren't required on coach buses. Politicians knew it too. And that was long before the fatal crash this April involving the Humboldt Broncos team bus. Karen Pauls takes a deeper look.
Almost 2 decades before the Humboldt tragedy, this fatal crash in New Brunswick. Elaine Alpert's son Stephen died.
And then I heard there were fatalities. And the phone started ringing.
The facts need to be aired.
A coroner's inquest recommended that seatbelts be installed and enforced on motor coaches. An internal Transport Canada report also concluded that coach buses without seatbelts may put passengers at unnecessary risk of injuries and fatalities. Still, it did nothing, and the report was never made public. Until now, after the Fifth Estate got it through an access to information request.
I didn't know this existed.
Alpert says if Transport Canada had acted then,
it might have made a difference for the 16 young men and women in the Humboldt crash, and in others in between.
Like this one in BC, 43 people were critically injured. The head of Canada's coach bus industry wrote an urgent letter to Lisa Raitt, then Transport Minister in the Harper government. While thankfully no one was killed in this incident, it's only a matter of time before there is another fatal incident.
I turned to my deputy and I asked for information, and my team, my staff, would have received briefings as well. And the information I got back was a couple of things. Well, you know, Minister, it takes a long time to get regulations going.
Instead, it took 16 deaths and 13 injuries for Ottawa to finally announce all new coach buses must have seatbelts by September 2020.
And it is my #1 priority, and I am working to try to make all modes of transportation as safe as possible.
Every province has a law that says if there are seatbelts on a bus, they must be used, but it's up to the bus driver to enforce. There were seatbelts on the Humboldt Broncos bus, but nobody was wearing them.
Well, I don't know why we have to wait. What are we waiting for?
Chris Joseph's son Jackson died in that crash. He says Ottawa still isn't acting fast enough.
And I just hope and pray that nothing else happens before then.
So Joseph and other families have launched a social media campaign, #BuckleUp for the Broncos.
You might get a little pushback, but I think eventually, like helmets on bicycles, like anything, people would start to accept it as the norm.
Humboldt Broncos families want it to become the norm, just like seatbelt use in cars before the next tragic bus crash. Karen Pauls, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Some other stories we're following tonight on The National, including a deadly mid-air collision involving 2 small planes over Ottawa.
What we're doing is we're at the site. We are going to look at the wreckage. We want to take the aircraft to the laboratory in Ottawa, the TSB lab.
One of the planes crashed into a wooded area in the city's west end, and one person aboard that Cessna was pronounced dead at the scene. The second plane landed safely at Ottawa International Airport shortly after. No word yet on the cause of the crash, but the pilot of the second plane did report to air traffic controllers that the first aircraft hit the bottom of his plane.
Oh! Are you taking pictures?
We're gonna get electrocuted in here.
Thousands of people are still without power after a fierce windstorm blew through Atlantic Canada this weekend, most in New Brunswick, where some could remain in the dark for days. At this point, Fredericton's International Airport is only functional during daylight hours. Newfoundland and Labrador saw wind gusts of 115 kilometers per hour today, and the Confederation Bridge connecting PEI to the mainland was closed to motorcycles and high-sided vehicles like buses and trucks. This driver spent Saturday night in his rig near the bridge when the storm was at its peak.
I was wondering if I was going to wake up with the wheels down or if you were going to find me somewhere over here upside down on my roof.
Another driver from Las Vegas describes his experience.
You guys call it Timmy's, and the coffee in this part of the world's really good, so it's no problem other than I think I'm going to blow over.
The bridge has since reopened to all traffic, while power crews from across the region are still working to get the lights back on. And Italy's prime minister surveyed weather-related devastation in Sicily today. Much of the country has been battered by high winds and torrential rain for days. Dozens of people have been killed, at least 15 of those in Sicily alone, including 2 families who drowned inside a house near Palermo after a river burst its banks. The Italian government is expected to declare a state of emergency this week. Well, Drake was in Vancouver this weekend for a couple of shows, but his visit to a local casino ended on a sour note. But first, he put on this impromptu show at the Fortune Sound Club Friday night. Then it was off to the casino. Here's what he posted to his 50 million Instagram followers. Park Casino is the worst run business I have ever witnessed, profiling me and not allowing me to gamble when I had everything they originally asked for. In a statement, the casino said it stands against all forms of racism and added, "We are operating in one of the most complex, highly regulated industries." And one of those regulations requires anyone playing with more than $10,000 to prove where it came from. Briar Stewart explains why.
Park Vancouver is a $600 million hotel and casino complex. It opened last year, and like the rest of BC casinos, it now has to keep more records on anyone who turns up wanting to play with $10,000 or more. It's part of what's being billed as a crackdown on money laundering.
Lower Mainland casinos unwittingly served as laundromats for the proceeds of organized crime.
Earlier this year, a report found that $100 million has been funneled through BC casinos.
Those are bundles of $20 bills. This transaction in excess of $250,000.
Surveillance video showed people walking into BC casinos with bags full of cash, suspicious transactions that were part of what was described as a complete system failure.
I think it's a combination of lax regulation by the government and not willing to follow the rules by the casinos. It went on for quite a few years.
In January, all casinos were ordered to demand gamblers who turn up with more than $10,000 in cash or check to show where their money came from. They need a banking receipt with the financial institution, branch, and account number.
This is just a blanket rule that applies to anybody regardless of the risk, so you could argue it's a little bit unbalanced in that sense.
Christine Duhaime is a lawyer who specializes in financial crime. She says while the rule is effective in preventing some money laundering, it's too broad.
Obviously, if you're very wealthy and you're a multimillionaire, it's a little bit onerous to prove that $10,000 is, legitimately earned by you and that you got it from your bank.
But as it stands, those rules apply to everyone, no matter how high profile you are and where your money came from. Briar Stewart, CBC News, Vancouver.
Ahead tonight on The National, we take an in-depth look at a divisive issue. What to do about Sir John A.'s complicated legacy and the statues some say need to be taken down. First, though, a Go Public investigation. Her husband paid for credit card insurance for years, but when he suffered a stroke, she says she was told to pay up.
I was devastated, to tell you the truth. I thought, why? Because when he was making payments, he never missed a payment. He was never late.
If you carry a balance on a credit card You're not alone. The average card has more than $4,000 owing. Maybe that makes you feel better. So what if you get sick or lose your job? Well, there's balance protection insurance for that. But an Ontario woman is going public tonight, saying it didn't quite work out the way she expected. And she told the story to Erica Johnson.
Hello there, sweetie.
It's a hard time for Jo Graves. Last February, her husband had a major stroke. For years, he'd paid insurance to cover debt on his Canadian Tire MasterCard.
He had told me that he was getting this insurance just in case anything ever happened to him.
George Graves' stroke led to dementia. His credit card balance went unpaid. Canadian Tire started calling his wife for months, demanding the debt be paid.
I was devastated, to tell you the truth. I thought, why? Because when he was making payments, he never missed a payment. He was never late.
Graves assumed the insurance would kick in, but says Canadian Tire told her her husband had to file the claim. Go Public requested an interview with Canadian Tire. They declined, but in a letter to Jo Graves, a senior representative wrote, Canadian Tire Bank has processes in place to make customers aware of how their credit protection insurance coverage could apply, and that these processes were followed.
If you think it's going to cover your total balance, you need to think again.
This personal finance expert says, in general, credit card balance protection insurance isn't worth having.
Because these policies are very narrow in scope. If you get sick, the financial institution might have a very narrow scope of how you qualify under sickness or disability.
And she says it's pricey. Canadian Tire charges $1.10 for every $100 on your balance. So customers with an average monthly balance of $2,500 are paying $27.50 a month, or $330 a year plus taxes. After we contacted Canadian Tire, a spokesperson reached out to Jo Graves, apologized for the people who tried to get her to pay her husband's bill, and settled the dispute.
Erica joins us now. Credit card insurance is pricey. There seem to be a lot of loopholes when it comes to coverage. What are the options if you are worried about your debt, though?
Well, a lot of financial experts we spoke to said the first thing you should do, Rosie, is get out your credit card statement and look to see if you are in fact paying for this insurance, because a lot of people are unaware that they've signed up for this. During our bank investigation stories about a year ago, we had a lot of bank employees write to us and say they would secretly tack on this product because it earned them sales revenue. So check those credit card statements and see if you're paying for it.
Okay, and what about tips in terms of how you might want to avoid some of this and better protect yourself?
Yeah, you know, if you want to have some sort of a safety net, financial experts we spoke to said that you should invest in good life insurance or disability insurance that's underwritten. So you're asked things like your gender, your age, the type of work you do, etc. And then also they suggest you create an emergency fund if you're able to, a sort of little cash pool that you can dip into if need be to pay off your credit card if you lose your job or if you're temporarily sick.
But I would imagine the best advice, at least the advice my parents would give me, just don't carry balance on that thing.
Well, yes, that is definitely pay off that puppy every month. That's the best thing you can do.
Okay.
If possible.
Thank you. Thanks, Erica. I appreciate it. A reminder, Erica and her team get their story ideas from you. So if you'd like to go public, email us at gopublic@cbc.ca. Up next, an in-depth look at the debate around statues of Sir John A. MacDonald and some of the people caught in the middle.
It was some very hurtful messages, death threats that were left on the telephone.
You got death threats?
Yeah.
What would they say?
You want to watch your back. You don't know when it's going to happen, but you're going to be gone.
Sir John A. MacDonald is called the father of Confederation, but many Canadians feel he should be scorned for policies that profoundly hurt Indigenous peoples. Last year, this Montreal statue was painted blood red, and it's happened again this year. Other tributes across the country have been called into question. In August, Victoria took the unprecedented step of removing that city's public MacDonald statue, while some applauded and others objected. More than 200 years after his birth, Sir John A. stirs passionate reactions in this country. The CBC's Nick Purdon met with people on both sides as he sought to find out how this polarizing figure from history can fit into Canada's future.
John A. John A.
Are you wondering what you're looking at?
John A. I wanted to confront you. I wanted to talk about Indian residential schools.
Think of this as a kind of historical showdown. In one corner, we have the ghost of Louis Riel, hero to Indigenous people for his rebellions against the Canadian government.
The world turns without us.
In the other corner, Sir John A. MacDonald, father of the country, fierce politician, and architect of Canada's residential schools.
After you had me killed.
Now, it's worth mentioning that Sir John A. had Riel executed just steps away from this exact spot in Regina, hence the noose in the hood. Oh, and the man dressed as Riel? That's Métis artist and university professor David Garneau.
This statue always arrests me. It comes as a shock because there isn't another one like it in the province. Why would citizens decide to put John A. MacDonald statue here in the place where Riel was hung? That shocks me. It's a provocation.
What is the provocation?
Provocation is to remind Indigenous people that shut up. Remember what happened to the last guy who stood up. So I think it's deliberately there to remind Indigenous people in the Regina area about John A. and Louis Riel.
Garneau tells me he's compelled to confront Sir John A. because his great-great-grandfather, Laurent Garneau, was part of the Métis resistance.
He was arrested, put in jail for 6 months, and was threatened with the hanging. So I grew up with that idea that that's a possibility, and it led to what I call the Great Silence. You know, Métis people just went underground at that point, assimilated. My family assimilated, just was quiet.
And things were quiet for Sir John A. too. That is, until pretty recently. It used to be that Sir John A. MacDonald was just the father of the country. That's it, that's all. Nobody really questioned his legacy, which is actually a lot more complicated. Sir John A. started the residential school system, for example, so he can be seen as a nation builder, but also as a racist. And there are plenty of people on both sides. And so the question is, how should we remember him? In Kingston, Ontario, where Sir John A. grew up and spent most of his life, it's like this. He's up there, way up there, in a place of honor. In fact, until recently, a crowd gathered here on his birthday every year to toast him.
And that's why he's...
Warren Everett, who's head of the Kingston Historical Society, never missed a gathering. Is he someone you'd love to meet?
Oh, yeah, I'd like to. Well, I was about to say I'd like to have a drink with him, but I don't think we're supposed to say that now. He is the father of Confederation, and it was his drive and ambition and vigorous approach to this that stopped us being a colony and became a dominion. And I'm not sure where we would be if it hadn't been for him.
Warren understands that Sir John A.'s policies towards Indigenous people had serious problems. But he also insists
he shouldn't be the lightning rod, because if he is, so is Laurier, so is Borden, so is Bennett. You know, everybody up to Pearson. While they may not have started it, they certainly didn't stop it.
So you worry that if it starts with MacDonald, where does it end?
Well, yeah,
everything will be
removed.
Well,
that's true. Yeah, you could have a growth industry in wrecking, but I think if this statue came down, and then you start to just erode the legacy and the heritage of the country.
There you have it. MacDonald's fans want to keep honoring him. The other side wants him gone. And if you think this is just some abstract debate that doesn't affect real people, meet Paul Fortier. Paul owns this pub in Kingston that used to be named after Sir John A. MacDonald. Then the protesters arrived.
So they had Sir John A. sort of hanging on a stick, with a noose around his neck, and they didn't burn it here, but they took it into the park and set that on fire afterwards.
Paul and his staff were afraid for the bar and themselves. They heard the protesters denouncing the way Indigenous people were treated by Sir John.
They came and they chanted and they yelled at the customers who were coming in and out of the pub. And
what did they yell?
Oh, things like, you're supporting a colonial business.
Paul thought the best thing to do was to listen to the protesters. So he changed the name of his pub from Sir John's Public House to just the Public House. But that wasn't the end of it. After that, the supporters of Sir John A. were angry.
People were coming into the pub and saying that we shouldn't have done this, that we had caved to the sort of liberal-minded individuals. It was some very hurtful messages, death threats that were left on the telephone.
You got death threats?
Yeah.
What would they say?
You want to watch your back. You don't know when it's going to happen, but you're going to be gone.
Death threats? How is it that people are so passionate about Sir John A. Macdonald that they'll do things like that? Well, let's find out. Back in Regina, I meet Patrick Johnson. Now, Patrick is up on criminal mischief charges for some of the things he's done to Sir John A.
I brought the sledgehammer in. I gave it 3 whacks on this side, 3 whacks on the other. Nothing really moved. It was just like a big din, like a bell ringing.
That's right. In the middle of the night, Patrick brought a sledgehammer down here and tried to destroy the statue.
It was exhilarating, kind of terrifying, but something I needed to do.
Patrick explains he needed to do it because he doesn't like the way Indigenous people are treated today.
Like, for me, it's appalling that we celebrate our country, Canada, as being civilized, and yet we let a certain portion of our people live in poverty, without clean drinking water, without adequate housing, education.
And then, as we're talking, the debate over Sir John erupts. A man rides by, recognizes Patrick, and yells that he's a vandal.
So you felt strongly enough that we were talking to Patrick and you rode by and yelled that out?
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to say to Patrick?
Well, I just disagree with his protest, and I'm really not into vandalism, and I just saw that as vandalism. I think it's not personal, but I think it's juvenile, and I don't think, I think there's better ways to have those debates.
Really the statue is just the surface of it. I'm trying to bring light, advance the message.
Then why would you argue that it needs to be taken down?
I feel that it is a threat to people that do not support this in a public place.
I don't think
No, but do you know what? It's okay that you don't, because you're from a white society.
Yeah, but
you're not imagining what it's like to be First Nations there.
See, but you're also assuming that I'm incapable of even having empathy for these people.
Listening to the argument, I can't help but wonder, how is it that Sir John A. Macdonald has become the most controversial figure in the country? And what are we really arguing about when we argue about him? Those sound like questions for a historian. Meet Jim Dashuk.
Well, there's no question that Sir John A. is the father of Canada. Having done 30 years of research into Indigenous history and the relationship between Indigenous people and the Canadian state, he's also the father of the dysfunctional country we live in today. His policies have a direct reverberation into the present.
And Jim sees a warning in the debate over the statue.
So if we can't have a discussion about the statues, about the legacy of Macdonald's policies, we're not ready to deal with justice issues and transfer of land and wealth and education and health. Those things are real and they need to be addressed. So if we can't deal with a statue in a park in a spirit of understanding, I'm not really seeing reconciliation in the near future.
Maybe Dashuk is right.
They don't want you here!
It is tempting to dismiss the conflict over the statues as being about the past. But maybe it's really more about the future and where Canada is headed.
Just down the road is a retirement home.
For me, that statue is like a message from the past delivered to the present and onto the future, and it's the imposition of an old will. And we can decide to accept or reject it as we would anything.
Let's go. Let's go.
David Garneau doesn't want to destroy Sir John A.'s statue. He wants to retire it. He wants it set up in a museum so Sir John is remembered,
Enjoy your stay.
but for the good things he did and the bad. Nick Purdon, CBC News, Regina.
Up next on The National, the Grassroots movement to save some of Canada's biggest and oldest trees using social media.
7 years ago, you were climbing through the trees like we did earlier here.
Yes, and it was an intact old-growth forest, some of the most spectacular that exists anywhere in the world. It's devastation, but devastation that didn't have to happen.
Here are some of the other stories we're following on the National this week. A parole hearing is set for Wednesday for Ontario man Marco Muzo, who killed 3 young children and their grandfather while driving drunk. In the spring of 2016, he was sentenced to 10 years in prison. Muzo is now eligible for day parole, but he can choose to waive or postpone the hearing.
It is our hope that this long overdue apology will bring awareness to our failings as we vow to never let history repeat itself.
On Wednesday, the Prime Minister will make another formal apology inside the House of Commons, this time, though, for Canada's decision to turn away a passenger ship full of Jewish refugees fleeing Nazi Germany in 1939. There were 907 people on board the MS St. Louis when it was forced to return to Europe. More than a quarter of those people ended up dying in the Holocaust. And of course, Sunday is Remembrance Day. We'll have live coverage of the ceremony at the National War Memorial here in Ottawa. I also recently sat down with this year's Silver Cross mother, and for the first time, it's a mother who lost a child to suicide. Anita Senerini's son took his own life just 3 months after returning from Afghanistan.
But since Thomas's death, I also especially think of the soldiers who have come home with wounds that we can't see, that they deal with every day. And for the injured, for the ones who've been displaced from the only life that they've known, for the struggles that they face.
Senerini fought hard to make sure her son received full military honors after his death. You can see more of our conversation Sunday on The National. British Columbia's Vancouver Island is home to some of the world's most ancient temperate rainforests. Many of these old-growth trees are more than 1,000 years old. And that's why some environmentalists have called on the BC government to ban old-growth logging of the remaining forests. But as Renee Filippone found out, deciding how to protect this ecosystem isn't clear-cut.
When you come in, just go diagonal here.
Yeah.
Armed with a camera, the mission is to track down giants.
The hunt is on.
That one's pretty big.
Hidden in this nearly untouched forest on Vancouver Island.
You can already see another biggie over here.
Ken Wu and TJ Watt are our guides in search of big trees. After only a couple minutes trekking in the woods,
Put it about 6 feet wide.
We find this one.
Pretty amazing for a western hemlock.
They think it's at least 700 years old.
Nice one. That's a beautiful tree.
These won't break any records, but they're still some of Canada's biggest and most threatened trees.
These giants here have been the green gold of the old-growth logging industry. They've propped up the industry for a couple decades now, but they're coming to an end. 23 feet and 3 inches.
For Wu, it's not just about the giant trees, but everything else they support in here.
But it certainly is an amazing-looking organism.
Like this coral mushroom.
Is that a Douglas
There's a big
fir?
cedar and a Douglas fir side by side up in there, eh?
Can we get up there?
At 19 years old, Wu was part of the War in the Woods to end logging in Clackwood Sound. 25 years on, he's still fighting here, but his strategy has changed.
We spent a lot more time protesting then, and which needs to be done as well. But today we spend more time highlighting the beauty of these places.
They do it by capturing images, showcasing the beauty of the forests, and documenting their demise. The pictures and video are shared on social media, trying to shame the government into ending old-growth logging.
7 years ago, you were climbing through the trees like we did earlier here.
Yes, and it was an intact old-growth forest, some of the most spectacular that exists anywhere in the world. It's devastation, but devastation that didn't have to happen because there's a second growth alternative.
Most of the forests are second growth. Logged and then replanted, after 50 years they can be cut again.
The marks of the industry are clear on Vancouver Island, and for Wu, it's unacceptable.
There's still a lot of dinosaur thinking, including by this government at this point in time, but it's not sustainable. In the end, we are going to lose these ancient ecosystems.
But you can see the dark green. That's all reserved. That's never going to be touched.
The Truck Loggers Association of BC took us up in their helicopter, pointing out which areas are already protected.
There's a
What's
big,
this one?
that's a fir.
That's huge.
Yes.
Zoltan Schaefer maps what areas to log. He says the industry follows the province's lead to determine what's on the chopping block.
This one's pretty high grade.
That means these logs equal big money, worth twice as much as second growth wood, profit that supports thousands of jobs on the island.
I think there is a balance, and I think it's being done. It's like you're not going to satisfy everybody. You never are. But I think the loggers do care. The ones that I've dealt with and work with, we all try to do the right thing.
This is all old growth fiber that you're looking at.
Forestry is in Mike McKay's blood.
We're cutting red cedar right now, Renee, yeah.
He took over this mill from his father and worries it could close if old growth logging came to a grinding halt.
Well, this place would probably shut down next week. How's that? Really, it's we're transitioning to the point where we see it, there will be a day where there'll be less and less.
Transitioning to second growth means retooling this mill. That will cost a lot of money and take time. But for TJ Watt, time is running out.
Once I saw this, I knew it was a truly special place.
This protected forest was cleverly named Avatar Grove. Yes, after the blockbuster movie. Watt's photos helped save it.
Avatar Grove is a perfect example of how positive change is possible. It's one of the most popular places to visit.
He wants more places like this protected across the island.
Definitely feel like we're in a race for the logging companies. We're looking for the same things that they are, except they have way more people employed and better technology. But we're out there to capture and document these places before it's too late. Yeah, facing up the tree.
For now, it's a battle to frame these forests and define their value and the future of logging here. Renee Filipponi, CBC News, Port Renfrew, BC.
Next on The National, an artist asked Newfoundlanders to lend their faces to commemorate those who fought in the First World War.
Go through the piece, there are different individuals and portraits of the descendants that came to the foundry and had their likeness cast in bronze. And in essence, what they're doing is they're standing in for their loved one or their descendant that fought in the First World War.
There's some familiar faces there too. That's coming up in our moment of the day. But first, in case you missed it.
Isn't it ironic that somebody who's yelling in the ambulance and in the hospital, "I want to kill all the Jews," is taken care of by a Jewish nurse?
It was a story of compassion and professionalism that resonated with so many after the deadly shooting rampage at a Pittsburgh synagogue. Now that nurse, Ari Mailer, has broken his silence in a heartfelt post on Facebook. "I am the Jewish nurse. Yes, that Jewish nurse," he wrote. "I'm sure he had no idea I was Jewish." Mailer points out his father was a rabbi and that he experienced anti-Semitism a lot as a kid. The gunman, he says, thanked me for saving him, for showing him kindness, and for treating him the same way I treat every other patient. Mailer says he didn't say a word to him about his religion. Instead, "I wanted him to feel compassion. I chose to show him empathy. I felt that the best way to honor his victims was for a Jew to prove him wrong." Love. That's why I did it, he says. Love as an action is more powerful than words, and love in the face of evil gives others hope. If my actions mean anything, love means everything. A Newfoundland artist is using images of the living to commemorate the dead. Morgan MacDonald cast the faces of 100 descendants of men who fought in the First World War in bronze. He then hung them in an oval frame reminiscent of the picture frames that held images of those same men as they went off to war. His sculpture was unveiled today in St. John's, and the stories behind those faces are our moment of the day.
We are looking at 100 portraits of descendants of soldiers and sailors of First World War. In essence, what they're doing is they're standing in for their loved one or their descendant that fought in the First World War. It was very easy to find volunteers because it's, these stories exist, they're out there in the community.
It was just a couple of years ago that I realized that I had a great uncle, J.J. Tobin, who died overseas, a member of the Newfoundland Regiment in the First World War. And so it was important for me to be one of the faces that got to represent him.
Well, for me, it's a memory of my great uncle, Gordon Bastow, who died in World War I. And I took part in having the face mask done, and purely for the commemoration for Gordon.
In this, you see the oval frame, and that is how we would see the pictures of our ancestors on the wall, oftentimes covered under a blanket of dust, forgotten. So it is very important to see all these people coming forward. These are the faces of people who were lost some time ago, represented by the faces of those still living, hoping to tell the story to people who are yet to be born.
And of course, this Remembrance Day marks the 100th anniversary since the end of the First World War, and so many Newfoundlanders were sacrificed in that war at Beaumont-Hamel, hundreds of them dead and hundreds more injured. That's the National for November 4th. Good night. Thanks for watching.